Do you need to draft an elite starting pitcher this year for your fantasy baseball team? We have the answer to that and much more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, and you can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And guess what? You might as well take a screenshot of your rating and review and join us over on the Subtext platform, where you could send us that screenshot for a chance to join our coveted listener league for this season. We've already given away 2 spots. We're giving away 4 more on March 6th, and then we're giving away the final 4 on March 20th. So make sure your entries are in before then. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And guys, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And guys, we are wrapping up our target and avoid series with starting pitcher. Matt, my brother, I know you're chomping at the bit. This is our specialty, so take it away, sir.
Yeah, so I have been called in the past the pitcher whisperer. So, you might want to just pay a little extra attention to this episode. But again, I'm joking, but no, it's actually truth. That's my nickname on Twitter. But anyway, so we're gonna go over. I'm gonna break down we're gonna go top 15. I'm just gonna read off the top 5. We're gonna go over it and talk about our little take on it, and then boom. So starting at numero uno, I guess we got Spencer Strider. Shohei Ohtani does not count, so we just skippity doodah over him. Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler, Kevin Gausman. Strider is Strider, right? Like, we all know he's going to be fantastic, high Ks. You don't really need to go too in depth about him. The guy is just going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. So, is what it is. Garrett Cole's an interesting one. Originally, I had going into the season, he was going to be my number 1 pitcher. I dropped him down to 3, but I'm about to rise him back up to 2, I think, because I realized it's a contract year. And guys on contract years usually make me salivate because they usually go a little extra, play through a little extra injuries. They perform a little bit harder. They throw a little bit harder, and they get the job done, go get paid. So I could see where you could see Cole probably give a little extra oomph this year and, be super attractive for fantasy. So, Cole, I think, is getting the bump up to probably my 2. Corbin Burns, I love the landing spot. Also a contract year. Part of the reason why I originally had him up above. Plus, I love the new situation of after being traded and acquired by the Baltimore Orioles. I love the landing spot, a lot of win potential. Love the team in general. He's going to have a fantastic time and be very successful with them. You got Wheeler, just signed a big bag of bucks. Mr. Wheeler Bucks. Got paid 3 years, I think like $40 million or something a year. It's something ridiculous. I'm being hyperbolic.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Trash money bag trucks for days. But, ultimately, Wheeler's going to do Wheeler things. I'm excited to, just keep rolling. He's somebody, Mr. Consistent. Not somebody I have this high. Like, I have him more like 7 or 8. I'm not picking him over certain guys that we'll get into. One of my targets today. I love him. He's just Mr. Consistent, Mr. Strikeout upside. But, the one thing that I always have a knock against him is just how he had to change his mechanics to make himself right last year. He did make the adjustment, but, you could see that he needs to tinker, and I just hope it's not as a slow start because the ERA wasn't as great as I would have liked that we've seen in the past for Wheeler. Lastly, we got Kevin Gausman. We're going to talk about him later on there, but I will give an update that he is hurt right now, dealing with some arm fatigue. So never something you want to see for the start, but we'll get into him later. Dom, you got any on these guys, or you want to get into the next 5? Let me know.
Quick little touch upon everybody, just to do my due diligence. Spencer Strider, number 1 pitcher in all of baseball. His numbers will be better than last year, especially that ERA. Garrett Cole, love him. He fixed his problem last year, which was giving up too many home runs. Looked a lot better this year. I expect similar results. Corbin Burns goes over to the Baltimore Orioles. Love that for him. Pretty much same where Matt is. Corbin Burns is elite. On a better team, he's going to play better. Zach Wheeler got that big bag of money, as Matt mentioned. I love Zach Wheeler. Not really going to add anything else. I'm pretty much in sync with ADP on Zach Wheeler. Kevin Gausman, going to talk about him later for reasons we will get to later. But let's get into this next group of 5 guys. And we have Luis Castillo, who's the 7th starting pitcher off the board. Actually, the 6th starting pitcher, because like Matt said, we're not counting Ohtani. Pick 32. Zach Gallen is the 7th starting pitcher. Pick 37. Pablo Lopez, 8th starting pitcher, pick 38. Yamamoto, 10th starting pitcher, pick 41. And George Kirby is the 10th starting pitcher, also around pick 41, according to ADP. Luis Castillo on a great team, great ballpark to pitch in. Finally went from one extreme to the other, from the Reds over to Seattle. I think he's really earned that ADP, somebody who I actually have a smidge higher than where he is right now. Zach Gallen, once again, young guy, proven that ace upside, has had, quite a few years in a row now where he's shown that consistency, still young. I don't think there's another level, but I think there's a little bit more to him. There's a little bit more we'll see with Zach Gallen. Pablo Lopez moving up for all of the right reasons. All of the underlying stuff looks good. He kind of became like a fantasy baseball darling, coming into this offseason when everybody started deep diving him. We all loved what we saw, has kind of moved away a little bit from, that injury prone tag with, 2 years of 180 innings plus. So really love what I see with Pablo Lopez. Definitely think he has that top 10 starting pitcher upside. Yamamoto, we haven't really talked about him a great amount, but he has a great pitch mix coming over, from Japan. Really loved what I saw from him in the World Baseball Classic. I just think Yamamoto is going to be an absolute star over here. Reminds me a lot of other guys that have come over, like, Tanaka came over and translated. I think Yamamoto is going to do the absolute same thing. I don't think you should doubt him. George Kirby is another guy that we're going to deep dive on later for, other reasons, but I'm going to pass this over to my brother, Matt. Matt, comments, thoughts, opinions on these 5 guys here.
Yeah. So wife was dropping off Luke in the room, so I wasn't paying attention to you. Hopefully didn't talk too much about Gallen because he's going to be in a conversation later. Castillo is somebody that is kind of Mr. Reliable for me, but I'm like not thrilled if I'm walking away with him as my one, but it's kind of like the last of Mohegans for me. Lopez is an interesting one. Slowly has made it into my top 12. I love the 2-year mark. I just want to see this eliteness continue. I love the amount of innings, but I want to see the ERA come down to have him as my SP1. Ultimately I could see him and Wheeler kind of finishing the same, hence why I have them pretty much ranked very closely in my rankings. But it's one of those things where I also don't like the team for Lopez, so it is what it is. Actually, I lied about that. But I like his team. I'm just all over the place. Anyway, Yamamoto, the guy I actually do want to highlight before I move on to the next set of 5 here. I love the fact that this dude was so ridiculous in overseas that he had a sub-2 ERA over like 3 seasons. He's 25. He has another incredible pitch. He has tangibles that other players in the league really don't have. He's a very special talent. There's a reason why nobody has seen him play baseball, but yet nobody's seen him in an American League baseball game, but is being drafted in the top 10. He just could be somebody special. So he's not my first choice. He is 10 for me on the dime, but if I'm walking away with him, I'm kind of quasi smiling, but a whole lot of risk. But that's really it on that. Like, I don't think I need to touch on Kirby because you're going to touch on him later.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to rattle off this next 5 real quick. We got Tyler Glass now.
Real quick, you want to hop in here and
yeah, I'm just going to read off the names. I'm not breaking off anybody.
Go for it.
Yeah, so We got Tyler Glass now rounds it off. Going to talk about him later. Aaron Nola, Webb, Scooble, and Freed. Like those are your last five. We're not really going to touch them on this episode. There's not much to talk about, but stick around because next we got our targets, our avoids, a little bit more winded takes, and we'll maybe maybe give you a little insight on one or two of those guys I just mentioned. But before that, we got an awesome sponsor for you. All right. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy baseball platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It is just against the numbers instead of the battling the thousands of other players, including props, pros, or sharks. You could pick more or less than 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on prize picks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, you can transform $10 into $1,000 easily. Prize Picks is incredibly user friendly. You can make selections and submit your entries in under 60 seconds. As the host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, here are some rock solid picks for you. Opt for higher than 5 strikeouts for Logan Webb in a single game. Choose higher than 0.5 for Ellie De La Cruz to steal a base. Consider a season-long pick of higher than 50 stolen bases for Bobby Witt Jr. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for your first deposit to match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for your first deposit match up to $100. Prize pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And guys, Locked On has launched its first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with your local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel. And the most important part of this whole thing, what we got to offer, introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext. Your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into this offseason with Dominize. We provide you with tier-based rankings with over 100 outfielders and 100 starting pitchers ranked. You'll also have exclusive access to our prospect rankings, sleepers, breakouts, busts, personalized draft grades. When you have burning questions, we've got the answers. And as the season unfolds, rely on our dynamic content to get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. So stay ahead of those fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. Subscribe now and elevate that fantasy baseball experience to new levels. And since you're going to do this, you're going to join because you have to win your league. You need those rankings. You might as well shoot us a review on Apple and then send us a screenshot of that. And then you can get in that drawing coming Wednesday and then on the 20th to get in that listener league. So you get that lottery ticket and might be able to come in the league and get to see how we handle the season all season long. So get up on in there and let's see what happens. But Dom, I've talked way too much and I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. So bro, do it.
Yes, sir. I think we have a little bit of time. We'll do a little quick hit on these last 5 names that Matt brought up. We're going to talk about Glass now a little bit later. Aaron Nola's an interesting one for me. I know the even year, odd year thing with Nola kind of has been on track. He's somebody who's been moving down in my starting pitcher rankings. He's somebody that I originally started with, I want to say, in my top 12, and he's moved beyond my top 12. Honestly, I'll throw it out there. I have Aaron Nola at 17. I've moved him down. It's just not safe for me in a time where, if you have to pay the top 50 pick, you have to pay for Aaron Nola. I kind of want some consistency. I know what I'm getting. And Aaron Nola, you don't have that. So I've been moving him down a bit. The guys under him I love. Logan Webb is so safe. I'll let Matt deep dive on him a little bit, but I love the park for Logan Webb. Right around a K per 9. Don't know if he'll ever make that jump because he pitches to contact. He likes to get a lot of ground balls. That's how he gets a lot of his outs. So he's just a very stable starting pitcher. You're going to get a good ERA, a good whip around a K per 9. That Logan Webb is a stud. Tarek Skubal probably should have been my target, but one of those other guys we mentioned earlier is my target. I love everything about Tarek Skubal. Matt donned him with the best nickname in all of baseball last season. If you don't know, we're calling Tarek Skubal the Pterodactyl. Absolutely love him. 27 years old this year. Breakout year last year. 2.80 ERA, 15 starts, 80 innings, 102 Ks with a 0.89 whip for Skubal. We saw that the stride in 2022 before he got hurt. Came back, didn't miss a beat. Also, the velocity's up on Skubal. He already sat around, I think it was 96 miles an hour on that fastball. He's up there touching 100 in spring training. So I think the sky is the limit for Skubal. You can feel very confident with him as your SP2. Then we have Max Fried. Love Max Fried, kind of the same out of that Logan Webb type book. The ERA is going to be good. The whip's going to be good, but I don't think he ever gets to that K per 9. So Skubal and, not Skubal, Fried and Webb are very similar to me. They're back to back in my rankings. I think they go hand in hand. But Matt, want to jump in with these names real quick?
Yeah, I'll go real quick. We'll talk about Glass now a little bit. I keep saying that. Nola is interesting. It's the every other year thing, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust him all that much. I still have him in my top 12, but it's just it's there. Like the road to success is there. It's just, he's probably the most riskiest one to walk away with in that top 12 for me, but he's got to be there because then my kind of trust really just goes, I just don't feel comfortable. It's a matter of comfortability and how you want to construct your team ultimately. When it comes to, Webb, one of my favorite guys, I generally, like, if it's a 12-man, 14-man league, I don't mind walking away with him as my one. He's safe. He's never going to be a K per 9, even though I think one year he'll do it and it'll be fantastic. But the beauty of it is he's like Sandy Alcantara, where, he's just going to eat innings.
Yeah.
And, be about 20 Ks under, the per 9 and 20 Ks under per inning. And it's going to be really nice where, if he pitches 230 innings, which is definitely in the realm of possibilities, he's going to have 200 Ks. And that'll subside, the under K per 9 bowl. So he's still elite in that aspect. I love him. The other one that really just screams out to me with Skubal is I don't trust him as one. I don't trust him even as my 2. And this is, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. And
is the hate? I was just going to say, is the haterade there? Because we need it.
No.
We need the haterade along with this take.
It's not a lot of hate. So, like, here's the thing. He had a fantastic 80 innings. He's had every time he's healthy, he's had a good season, except for 2021. Thing is, though, he hasn't really been able to make a full season debut, like a full season. And that's the part that really gets me scared, right? He throws very hard. He throws 98 miles an hour, but his arm can't take the velocity. And that is the thing that scares me the most. Can he stay healthy? Is he throwing a little too hard for his body to keep up with that? And, is that going to cause problems? And is he going to miss long stretches of time? That is my biggest knock on Skubal. I want to see him do it for 175 innings, 180 innings, and then we could have this conversation next year. I'm not going to bank that on him.
It's a fair point. I'll give that to you. That's definitely a fair point.
Like, I mean, I'm not the originator that put me on this, but like after starting to break it down, like, dude, like it's just not there for me. I can't do it. And I mean, lastly, because we were supposed to talk about our picks, I actually like Fried this year. He's low-key going to be a nice value because he's also on a contract year. Somebody that wants to stay on that team, you're going to buy into the team around him and the win capability. So Fried is somebody that I'm kind of like really happy with getting as my 2, not just for a stabilizer, but somebody that might take that next step just to get that bag of money. So we'll see. Because Fried also has never really been a picture of health either. Maybe he finds this season to be healthy, and also then next year, if anything, at the end of this, after he gets paid, I'm dumping him for a bag full of assets in Dynasty League. So, like, we'll see. When he's healthy, he could probably put it really together. But Fried has just never had the incentive. I think this is the year just based off of the fact that he's fighting for that bag. So, money is a nice incentive. Look at every guy on their contract year and look what they do. They go monsters. Aaron Judge hit 50 home runs. 60 home runs.
62.
Yeah. Like guys just go, go off when they're trying to get that money. So, proof is in the pudding in that aspect. We've wasted so much time on this 5, funny enough, that we're actually back in our ad break aspect. But stick around. I promise this time around, we're going to be talking about targets in a voice. I promise. And we're going to burn through. We're going to get through all 4. All right. But before that, we got a great sponsor for you.
And guys, we're talking about FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And guys, I know we're through a couple basketballs, but we're a baseball podcast, so I'll talk about some of the guys we talked about. How about Yamamoto? Rookie of the year, NL Rookie of the Year, maybe that's a good one. Good odds on FanDuel. I also like the odds for Pablo Lopez to win the AL Cy Young. Very, very sneaky bet there. So, guys, those are two that I'm digging on. And to make those bets, just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, guys, and we're back here. Matt, what are we feeling? Are we feeling some haterade? We feeling some love? Where are we at, brother?
Oh man, let's go hate. I got this.
Then go for it. I know that's what the fans love. The fans come here for the haterade.
I gotta shake off the kindness real quick. I've been nice to so many people today. All right, this is what happens when you work in customer service. All right, Tyler Glasnow, baby. So here's my problem with Tyler Glasnow. He's another one. Same argument I have ultimately for Skubal, right? He just can't stay healthy. And Glassy is even worse because my guy just finds every which way to hurt his body and he does it. Now the problem with Glasnow is he just got acquired by the Dodgers. And now it's, oh my God, that Dodger team, that upside. Oh my God, I could draft him as like my number one and I could have like the best pitcher in baseball. You are correct in that mindset, except for the fact that Tyler Glasnow and innings, right? His career high was last year at 120 innings pitched. He has never gone for higher than that, ever in his career. And the reason why is my oblique, my knee, my calf, my TJ. I'm gonna need one. Oh my God, everything. My guy is the epitome of Alberto Mondesi on the mound. It's bad, and I just really wish he could pull it together. So do not walk away with him as your one. You want to take a risk and shoot for your shot on the second? Please do. Like right now, current ADP is the 12th pitcher off the board, pick 42. All right. I don't like that ADP. I think he should be your two. I'd pick Logan Webb and then I pick Tyler Glasnow. Or if I pick Glasnow, I need to go around and go scoop up Webb because there is no safety net. But when he's healthy, he's going to be fantastic. This is not a shade. This is not an indictment on his talent or what his upside and ceiling is. What I'm telling you is it's a really high ceiling play and a really low floor play if everything goes wrong. Actually, if everything happens like it normally does. If nothing changes and this is him, then it's really bad. But if the ceiling, it's incredible. Best pitcher in baseball. It's just too volatile for me.
Yeah, Matt, honestly, that was a really amazing take. Honestly, I have to give you credit. That's probably one of the best takes I've ever heard you give on this podcast. And you do give a lot of great takes. So that's actually speaking very highly of you. I honestly don't know how much I have to add to that. I think I'm just going to leave that be because that was such a strong take. I honestly fully agree with everything, and I actually might have to move him down a smidge. My whole thing that I'll just come at you with there, and I'm going to try and keep this short, is just that when you get to a certain point at starting pitcher, and honestly, it comes quick. It's just that who do we trust? Who is there not question marks about, right? And I think that's why Tyler Glasnow has landed where he's landed in ADPs, because you can go all the way up. I mean, let's look at it like this. Let's just go with ADP, keep things simple. You can go honestly up to Kevin Gausman at 6, who, I'll move into this take here with it. Kevin Gausman is my avoid. It's just like there's question marks about everybody. I think Strider's pretty safe. I think Cole's safe. I think Burns is safe. And I think even a Zach Wheeler you can throw out there as safe. And I like Luis Castillo. I put him in that next tier too, right? Then it's like Gausman, you could throw question marks on, which I'm going to do right now. He's getting a little bit older. He did have a solid year last year, but one thing that stands out to me is the whip with Kevin Gausman. I know I've always been a little bit like behind on him. I was never really in on Gausman, and he's had a really stellar year the last 3 years. But 117 whip last year for Gaussman. The year before was a 123 whip. I know that he's going to have a monster K season, and I know he's been pretty strong on the whip the last few years. But at age 33 for Gaussman, having to pay up as the 5th starting pitcher off the board, it's just a very steep price for me. So it's not that I don't like Gaussman. It's more of that I like the guys that go after him. And I don't think you're getting a top 5 starting pitcher, numbers with Kevin Gaussman, especially only 12 wins the last 2 years. I know that Toronto team in theory should be a little bit better. At least is very competitive though. So that's my thoughts on Gaussman. Definitely my avoid as far as these top 15 pitchers go.
Yeah, I mean, Gaussman is not the most sexiest pick, and with the arm fatigue is like my real turn off.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. I forgot to say that too. But yes, another
yeah,
big turnoff is the arm injury.
right. I'll still take him over Logan Webb. I'll take him over Pablo Lopez. I'll take him over Castillo. And reason why is he's done it for the last 3 years and been really consistent in all the all the boxes I like to check. But there is a bust possibility, and if the arm fatigue continues, it's going to be falling out of my top 12. It's more of a wait and see. But here today, Kevin Gossman is ranked in my 8, like I think 7 or 8. So
Yeah,
I'm okay
exactly.
with it.
Exactly. And I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat
Yeah.
there.
But it's just when you're facing down the barrel, it's just one of those things where you don't really feel great, pulling the trigger. I'm gonna move on because we're really limited on time. I'm gonna go with Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen is my target. If you watched the mock draft episode yesterday, you'll understand why I think that. Right? Zach Gallen has all the upside in the world, and I understand all the all the shade or all the doubts that people have. He hasn't been able to, really bring it. This year was really like the first year he's really broken 200 innings, but last year he had 184, this year 210. You know, I love the fact that he had over 200 Ks this year and over a K per 9 both years. The whip is still a 1-1. Like last year it was a not a 0.91. Like he has made some serious strides in those categories. The FIP was better than the ERA, which is fielding independent pitching. This last year was a 326 versus a 347, which was his ERA. So like Gallen is checking all the boxes where I think we're going to return to the mean, where we're going to see that, lower ERA. We're going to see the high innings. We're going to see a great K number. And he's at a great price, I might add. Like I'm getting him, at like pick 37, right in my sweet spot after I've grabbed two bats, and he's sitting there pretty, and I'm going to get all the upside and all the boxes checked that I want for my SP1.
Matt, love it. You're killing these takes here at the end of the episode, so I'm don't really have too much to add. Besides, I love him. I have him as a top 5 starting pitcher for this year. So, guy in the prime of his career, like Zach Allen, 28 years old, who's shown us nothing but goodness except for that 2021. I love him. Let's move on to this last guy though. Let's talk about my target. I'm targeting George Kirby everywhere. George Kirby took a nice step forward last year, which we kind of expected him to, or at least a lot. I think a lot of people did. And now he's just kind of become the darling of the offseason. I still have him higher than ADP right now. ADP has Kirby as the 11th starting pitcher, pick 41. I think George Kirby is like the high end of a Logan Webb and Max Fried type, right? Where we don't necessarily know if he's going to get to that K per 9. But if he does, he moves into that upper echelon. So right now I kind of look at his numbers and I see that Max Fried, Logan Webb, but with the stuff that he has, and he doesn't pitch to as much contact as like a Logan Webb does. So I can kind of see him missing more bats and being successful at it. And I think that's why, George Kirby has taken the step up to where he has. Pinpoint control too with George Kirby. Pinpoint control. I think you need to really get this guy everywhere. Future ace.
All right, I'm going to throw this in there real quick. I've named 3 guys today, where they're all similar profiles to Sandy Alcantara. Sandy Alcantara was being drafted as like the 2, 3, 4. I don't understand the hate on Kirby. Kirby has as good or if not better control than Alcantara. He has all the elite stuff that really puts him up above. He is my pitcher 5 for this year, so I'm 100% on board. But I'm not going to get no long-winded take. Dom, let's get out of here. Let's let the guys go home and ladies go home.
Yeah, guys, we'll get you out of here a little bit early today. So that's all for us. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, shout out to our everydayers and new listeners making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Guys, make sure you're locked on for starting pitchers, target and avoid part 2 tomorrow. But until then, see you.
Peace.